when it comes to getting into a relationship, we all agree that a man should stop pursuing women, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Men should stop pursuing women. It would be cheating, right? If you were in a relationship with a guy and he went up to a girl, he approached a girl, took the initiative, and flirted with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do women do that? No. What do women do? Women put themselves in positions to be pursued. They put them in positions to be approached. You won't slide into a guy's DM, but you'll post a revealing photo or post something on social media.
What? No, we
Hold
slide
on.
into people's DMs.
Oh my, okay. Do I have to address the constant exception thing? Do women slide into men's DMs? Yes, they do. Do you do it at the same how many DMs do you get per day?
Me?
Yes.
Not a lot.
Even as a OF content creator, you don't get...
Yeah, no, not like
How
DMs. People react to my stories.
Okay, how many DMs do you get? 1 per day? 2 per day? 3 per day?
Yeah, 2 per day.
2 per day. Okay. And you've been on social media how long? You're 23? 2 per day. Okay, so there's you've had like would you say you've had like 2,000 men DM you then?
Yep. Not
You said 2 per
Insta.
day.
Yeah.
2 per day. There's 365 days in a year. In just 1 year, that's over 7.
But some of them are the same, like just double, triple
That's not
texting.
Individual DMs.
Yeah, but not that often.
Okay, then what? How many individual men DM you?
Like
Per week?
3 a week.
3 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a given year, that's over 150 men who have contacted you, offering you a romantic or sexual relationship, essentially. How many men per year do you DM?
I DM a lot.
Okay, how many?
Me?
Yeah, is it 150 a year?
More.
And do you really? And how many respond?
Not all of them. Yeah.
All right, whatever.
She's unique, though.
Okay.
We will say. That's not.
God, it's so
like, you're
annoying.
trying
People
to make the
just
point
wanna
on the wrong
love
person.
exception. I hate these exception arguments. It's such a waste of time. It just totally, every time these exception, oh, there's an exception. It totally derails the entire conversation. People can't even grant the general point that's just widely known. Women do not initiate when it comes to romantic relationships to the same degree or same frequency that men do. So, like I said, what do women do? You don't slide into men's DMs, right? You post a photo and then you try to elicit contact from men. When it comes to modern dating, we have a clear cutoff on men saying it's cheating for you to use the methods in which you get women. We say if you go approach a man, and it applies to women too, for example. If a woman were to approach a man, that'd be cheating too. The problem is that women don't do it. We're only cutting off men's system for getting women, but we don't cut off women's systems for getting men. And so the fair proposition would be men need to stop approaching women, and you women need to stop putting yourselves in scenarios and locations and positions where you can anticipate and where women would put themselves with an expectation they get approached. This isn't to say you can't go to the grocery store even though men approach you at the grocery store. It's not what we're saying. But when it comes to very specific social gatherings and social venues, bars, clubs, parties, where the expectation is going to be that you're going to be approached and people are drinking, there's alcohol involved, there's drugs involved, people will hook up at these venues, they'll after these venues. If you go to Trader Joe's, you're not getting finger banged in the bathroom after 10 minutes of talking to some dude at Trader Joe's. I've been to bars, I've been to parties, I've been to clubs.
I can agree with that.
I've seen some go down. People be in the middle of the party sometimes.
I take a slightly different approach here. So while I'm known for kind of giving logical arguments, and this will be one as well, I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to try to make some emotional appeals, and perhaps it'll be a bit more effective.
Sure.
So do any of you girls who are here have any irrational fears? Are you afraid of things like a irrational fear of spiders, perhaps? Anybody?
Small
Yes.
space.
Yeah, small space. Any other irrational fears?
Heights.
Heights, yeah, that's an irrational fear. And perhaps you have bad dreams occasionally that give you bad intuitions that are kind of irrational as well. That happens often to women, right? I can see some nodding heads. Well, what if you were to kind of suppose this also? I think that often men are kind of left high and dry on this because we're often kind of looked at as being extremely rational, logical, and I think men are. But they also have irrational fears. And what if it's not a matter that they don't trust you, but it's a matter that they have an irrational fear? That the fear itself perhaps is not a rational one, that you're going to go out and sleep with another guy if you go to a nightclub or something like this, but rather they don't want to have to worry themselves to death with irrational fears, just like with all the irrational fears that you expect them to kind of take care of on your behalf, that you don't want to be tortured with. You want to be comforted so that you don't have to deal with them. Then you would consider that to be a matter of respect. Like, let's say if you had a terrible dream or something like that with a bad intuition, perhaps you just want to be comforted, just like have a hug, right? Have them acknowledge that, hey, even though that fear is kind of silly, don't worry about it, honey. I still love you, and it's no big deal, right? Wouldn't it be the same thing on the other foot? Like, couldn't we grant a little grace towards the irrational fear that men could have when it comes to something like that? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, I
That
think
the fear
men
is
are
there.
very
Maybe
valid
it's
for
not
that.
completely rational, but just like you want to be comforted and respected for your irrational fears, don't they also deserve that?
Well, I don't think at that point it would even be irrational because, you see stuff happen all the time, to girls.
Well, I'm not saying that. I think even irrational fears are based in something of a reality, right? Why are
Yeah.
you so afraid of a confined space, for instance? Well, because you envision perhaps getting stuck in it. Or why are you so terrified of heights? Well, because perhaps you envision falling from a great height and that terrifies you. So that's based in a reality. It's just the fear itself is irrational, right? But all those fears are still based in some kind of reality. So because you have these experiences like Brian's talking about in bars where there's a lot of drinking, perhaps you've seen some fights or seen some weird things go down, the chance of that happening with your woman may be very, very, very small. So therefore the fear could be very irrational. But shouldn't there be a little grace granted and a little respect granted to them for also their irrational fears, not just your own?
Yes.
So if you were more of an extrovert and you did like going out, but you didn't want your lady to go out, would you honor what she's saying and say, okay, I won't either? Because men go to the club to hook up with women. Women might go to enjoy attention or this or that, but men go usually specifically because they want to try to engage with women or hook up with women. Like, I could say a bar is different. Guy friends go to a bar, hang out, watch sports, whatever. But clubs specifically, I think men only go with one intention, and it is to try to pursue women to the point of sleeping with them.
Sure. So if you had a man, well, I don't know if you do or not. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just a hypothetical. If you had a boyfriend, husband, whatever, and he wanted to go out to a club, right? And you said, "Honey, you don't trust me," right? You would say, "Yeah, I trust you, but," right? Because you have this fear, right?
Right.
And the fear might not even be rational, completely rational, but wouldn't it be very respectful of him to respect your wishes in that instance and say, "You're right. I'm going to stay home." Why torture your mind with this irrational fear that you have when I can just help you avoid it altogether?
Yeah, for sure. I was just wondering if Brian agreed. Like,
So hang on. So if that happens in reverse then with women, where men say, "I don't want you to go out to a club. I don't want you to go out to these bars. I don't want you." Isn't that also kind of a matter of respect then, that you don't do that on his behalf?
correct. Yeah, I was agreeing. I was just curious what his ultimate answer was. If his lady said, I don't want either of us to go out to the club, would he respect that? Or is he saying, as the man in the relationship, he's going to say, I don't want you doing this, but I'll decide when and where and how I'll do this? I was just curious if what she was saying, he would do that in a relationship.
Yeah, so even just to answer your question really quick, even if I was extroverted, I don't think any of my actual rational objections to going out to a nightclub change whatsoever. So like all those stupid things that come with nightlife don't change whether you're introverted or extroverted. There's probably extroverted people who also think nightclubs and parties and bars are dumb as fuck. But in a relationship,
if you were more inclined, like say you do enjoy going to the nightclub, whatever, and she's like, well, if I can't go, I don't want you to go either. Would you?
I think it's fair. Well, okay, like the situation would either be if I did like to go out to the club, it would probably be if I'm putting myself in the position. And is the scenario she's asking me to not go out and she's not going to go out, or
well, she basically said
she
like
wants to go out.
You both should honor the same practices essentially.
Yeah.
And if you don't want her to go out, then you shouldn't be able to go out.
Yeah, I guess.
But isn't that revenge?
I guess.
Isn't that revenge against a fear that one person has and the other one doesn't?
I thought it's respect.
Yeah, but no. I would agree with you if you had an irrational fear or something that really would bother you, and that's why you're asking them not to. But what if you don't share the same fear, but then you just demand that they do it anyway? That sounds like revenge.
I mean, I don't see it that way. I'm just saying she just
Why
made the point
why
of...
wouldn't it be? If you're not actually afraid of it, but if they're afraid of it and you're not, right? It'd be like this. It'd be like, I'm afraid of spiders, so you also, right? Whenever I jump around screaming when a spider comes around, you also need to jump around screaming when a spider comes around. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So it'd be the same thing applied here. If you have this great fear that your partner's going to do X thing, and so that person's going to kind of like assuage that fear. They're going to do what they can to assist you in that by showing you the respect of not making you worry yourself to death. But you don't have the fear which is reciprocal. Then telling them not to do the thing sounds like it's revenge. Like, well, if I can't, then you can't. Like, wouldn't that be the opposite of fairness?
I'll move on after your answer if you have one.
I don't.
Oh, okay. All right. I will move it on. I'll have you read this one.